Welcome everybody here to the Lakers Lounge. I'm Anthony Irwin, today joined by somebody who, all right, here's how this actually went down. I was going to record with a different guest who will remain nameless today.
Do not say their name. I will not be a part of this. If you of you giving someone else a migraine.
I'm not going to say her name. I'm definitely not going to say the name of somebody I respect deeply who covers the WNBA and women's basketball for The Athletic, who used to work for Silver Screen and Roll. I would never say her name and put her at risk here like that. But that was going to be today's guest. And
I'm sorry in advance, person who I enjoy their work and consider a close personal friend, that I will not say their name.
So she reached out and she's like, "Hey, my mid-afternoon meeting canceled. I can record now." And the problem is, like, she messaged me like deep enough into Miles's nap that I was like, I don't think we're gonna be able to. Like, I don't want to risk that, because there's nothing worse than like recording. You're like 20 minutes into a podcast, and then you start hearing in the background like, oh God, I still have like another 20 minutes, and this poor kid's gonna be screaming for at least 10. I gotta stop. So, we had to move things around. She said, well, she's a lot more flexible tomorrow. So that person, who again will remain nameless, who used to host a podcast on the old Silver Screen and Roll feed with Raj Chapalu, that episode is going to be tomorrow. The person you've heard in the background already so far is Harrison Fagan, and it actually worked out perfectly because today was such a nonsensical day that it's like the perfect. It's a perfect kind of news cycle for you and me to cover, I think. Do you think I have that right?
Yeah, no, I mean, to take people a little bit behind the curtain, I think, you and I have been talking about, like, okay, we have X amount of appearances that I can make a month, and how do we target these around sort of when they can be the most entertaining and the best podcasts, and, the best stuff for us specifically to talk about.
Yeah.
And so when this happened this morning, I'm like, Anthony, please tell me you don't have a guest, because I need to laugh about this insane news cycle with someone.
So here we are. We have found out that our best topics, the stuff that you are going to get the absolute best from me and Harrison on, not basketball, not the playoff run that they were on.
You have better guess for that. I'm just going to be honest. That's not me being self-effacing. You have better guess for basketball.
But no, the stuff that Harrison and I shine with, the stuff that brings out the absolute most from us in terms of most entertaining, is stuff like today, where randomly we get a tweet from Shams Charania of The Athletic saying that apparently Kyrie had reached out to LeBron about trying to get LeBron to Dallas somehow. And obviously he had the firestorm from that. And then Chris Haynes jumps in and says that not only did that happen, but the Dallas Mavericks tried to trade, or were thinking about putting together a trade offer for the Lakers while they were spiraling last year. Ignore the fact that LeBron couldn't have been traded last season, but so did everybody else last year.
There's a lot of funny parts of this. That was the funniest was that LeBron,
I don't know if it's the funniest. It's up there though.
Okay. It's up there. Yeah, I don't know if it's the funniest either. But the funniest, just random aside, was just like sources say that the Mavs wanted to, go after LeBron last year, and they were thinking about it. And like, I choose to believe that they actually had because their GM's relatively inexperienced. He comes from sort of, he's like Nike. A less qualified Rob Pelinka in a lot of ways. Like, he wasn't even sort of in the player representation. He was like working with Nike, and he came in, and just because they're not in LA, so they don't get like he doesn't know the CBA, or he doesn't understand the cap stories or whatever, like we got with Rob.
Yeah, could you imagine if that was like a Laker report?
Yeah.
how many
Yeah,
people
and
would
it's like, what was the meeting? Was he just like, all right, guys, the hypothetical for today, we're having our front office meeting. It's Tuesday. I would like everyone to go around the table and just let's talk about what could we offer for LeBron since the Lakers season is spiraling and our season, the Mavs, is going so well. What is the best offer that we can make for LeBron James? And they were like, well, Nico, sorry, I don't mean to be rude. I just looked this up. We legally cannot trade for LeBron James. He is not trade eligible until after the trade deadline.
So you said Nico, sorry, and like if this was written out, it would be Nico, comma sorry, like in response to that person. For a second, I thought you named a Maverick that was going to be in this trade, named Nico, sorry.
I did see that somebody named Jay Scrub got waived today, so these names are going around.
I was like, Nico, sorry, is that
Nico
is that a
Sorry
Maverick
is
that I just like forgot about?
Nico Sorry, as a person who does not exist, is arguably more appealing than most of the Mavs trade packages.
I
would take
legitimately
a player
thought
who does not exist over some of the salary ballots that the Mavs would have to throw into a hypothetical LeBron trade.
I thought I'm seeing the spelling of it too. So NICO and then SAARI was how it processed in my head. I was like, did I just forget that this person existed? I'm usually pretty good with that, but
did I just forget that this person existed? A journey down the Mavs roster on Spoke Tracks,
It's their ex GM just going through. It's like, man, I signed that contract.
It's like, oh, they have Markieff Morris's cap hold. Oh, that's
no
weird.
wonder they fired
me
me
for them.
No wonder my replacement is trying to trade Nico, sorry, for LeBron James.
Yeah.
It is. There is a lot to get to here, ranging anywhere from tinfoil Anthony to you and I just kind of making fun of this entire situation, which is going to be the vast majority of this, and then the fact that like this is so nonsensical, it makes me wonder like why this is even happening in the first place, especially this time of year. It's so early into the offseason. And that's kind of where I wanted to start. So I'm, again, behind the curtain here, as this was all going down, I was feeding Miles, and I am in the middle of like an entire Star Wars rewatch, right? And right now I'm on Andor. And one of the lines that it should be a meme, but it never caught on the same way because it's not Succession. But there's this line that this like officer says to one of the main officers in Andor is like, it's too random to not be random, right? It's too, and that like, it was perfect that all this kind of happened at the same time. Because I'm like, this is so ridiculous that it should just be the kind of thing that I laugh at. But it's like two of the biggest reporters doing this.
And it was like at the exact same time. It was almost you know how it came across to me? Obviously we don't know where the sourcing for sure on any of this. And, we can't ever be certain of the motivations or whatever for leaking it or when it came out or whatever. But with all that preface aside, it came across to me almost as like, okay, we don't want to, we're going to tell you this now, but we're embargoing it until the day after the finals. It's like when you get an email, it's like embargo, like Shaq has a new rap song coming out, but you can't tweet about it till it debuts on TNT. An actual email that I got this year. And so it was almost
good?
like
was the song good?
It was the trade rumors version of that. It wasn't terrible.
Okay.
The CGI in the music video was terrible, but
is he still rapping because I know he was DJing for a while.
He made his rap return for a song I believe was called "Let the Thotties Hit the Floor."
Okay. What? I gotta find this.
I'm reasonably certain that was there, or at least that was a lyric. I don't know. Because I believe they sampled "Let the Bodies Hit the Floor." No, I know.
Yeah. What was crazy about that song? I think the person who sang that song, it was hugely popular, and then the lead singer for that band just like died. It was the weirdest thing. Let the thotties hit the floor. Let's see if this pops up on YouTube. Shaq bodies freestyle. No, no. All right, I'm gonna keep looking for it. But anyway, so yeah, it was so ridiculous. It was so nonsensical that I'm just sitting here like, why? What the hell is going on? I follow a few people who cover the Mavs and who are Mavs fans and stuff, and yeah, their reaction was kind of interesting here because
I apologize. The song was called King Talk. I have no idea where I got that.
What the fuck? This is going fantastic.
That must have been a lyric from the song. I didn't come up with that in my head.
King Talk Shack. All right, here we go. I'm gonna find it on YouTube and then I'll play it on here, whatever. But anyway, did like that? My reaction though, that this is like too random to be random, right? Where do you land there? Like, are you seeing this the same way, or was it mostly just like, what the fuck? What is going on?
It was definitely more the second one because, the way that you have to take, especially like all stuff this silly, this far out ahead of free agency, is it's clearly someone trying to influence some conversation in some way. I'm not 100% sure, which person or people or whoever it is trying to, but like something this coordinated, it's like you said, it's too out of nowhere to just be like, oh man, they just happened to, stumble upon Kyrie's text messages. He just left his phone unlocked in front of Shams and Chris Haynes. And I know with again, there are two people I want to apologize to here, and both of whom are near and dear to my heart. First of all, Kyrie Irving, I know that you told us to not believe anything unless it comes directly from your mouth. I apologize that we are giving this daylight. I also want to apologize to a close personal friend, Mikey Malone, for letting this distract from, the NBA Finals. And we should be talking about him just getting outcoached by someone who's clearly better at their job than he is, and all the different ways that the Heat are sort of overcoming the amount of superior talent that Malone has to work with, just in part by virtue of how much more well-coached they are. These are like the basketball stories that we should be paying respect to, and I'm really sorry to Mike Malone that we're focusing on this Kyrie stuff instead. But yeah, it's too out of nowhere to, to just be completely random, and it's clearly someone trying to generate something. I just don't buy the idea that this is in any way feasible or that this is going to actually influence anyone. Like, this seems insane to me.
This is now the second time, though, that like this specific thing has come up in this way, right? Like, it's one thing for it to be a talking point that ESPN is going to have, or
I think it was originally Bill Simmons was like throwing them out as like a LeBron suitor. It was going to be LeBron and Draymond to Dallas.
Yeah, no, I remember that, but I'm talking about like just like the LeBron Kyrie continued flirting, right? Like this storyline, this whole narrative, it happening again and again and again and again in the same way that it is. Again, if this was 5 years ago, right? Not even counting like whenever they were teammates or whatever. I'm just talking about like if Kyrie Irving was 5 years younger and LeBron was 5 years younger, we would be counting down the minutes until these guys found a way to play together, right? But like the part of this that I asked this in the Slack, and this is usually like I usually try to if a take burns down Slack, I go back and I hone it up a little bit. But like my initial response the first time when we got the LeBron retirement talk, right, and how that had something to do with Kyrie back then, my thought back then was like, if he's willing to go through these playoffs and then come out the other end of it and say, yeah, that was fun, get me Kyrie, I think I'd rather just like see what my options are without LeBron. Like if that, if it's going to take heaven and earth to get LeBron and Kyrie together on the Lakers, which it will, I would rather like pursue other directions here. And, here again, we have it coming up again where, and this is clearly, more from Kyrie's side of things, where the report is that he reached out to LeBron about teaming up together in Dallas, right? But then you get the counter report there from Haynes, who is very close to Clutch, or not even counter report, but secondary report, who that comes from Haynes, who is very close with Clutch. And again, it's like this isn't. I wouldn't go. It clearly isn't a trade request or let alone a trade demand, but it feels like a test balloon. It feels like a canary in the coal mine. Just see like, hey, well, let's see how everybody reacts to this. We know that LeBron is very star centric when it comes to his approach to building the best teams that he can perceive. Right. Back when he went to Cleveland from Miami, they had just drafted Andrew Wiggins, and in his first wasn't it? Didn't he write like a farewell to? Or no, he said like I'm coming back. He wrote something
it wasn't a farewell.
about.
It was like it was a welcome home. It was the Lee Jenkins article that he co-wrote with him.
And Wiggins wasn't mentioned in it.
Yeah,
Yeah. And that signaled like, okay, all right, he's gone somewhere. And minutes later, it was Wiggins for Kevin Love, basically. And it was funny. Now that I'm kind of looking back on it, there were reports over the last couple of days of the fact that the Lakers are likely or more likely to use their number 17 overall draft pick. And then, 24, 36, 48 hours later or whatever, we start to get more of this stuff. So, yeah, I again, the vast majority of our conversation about this is going to be poking fun at all of it. But it's just so ridiculous. And it's the second time that we have seen it get this ridiculous that it makes me kind of wonder, all right, what else is going on here? What am I missing beyond just laughing at all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's completely fair to sort of wonder about the motivations, and is this something that is, LeBron trying to say, I think it could certainly be, hey, I'm trying to recruit LeBron here, so recruit me there, because otherwise I'm going to steal your star if you don't bring me in, even though that's not really realistically feasible.
How this works.
About all the reasons why it's not. Both of these, I don't want to say on the sourcing thing too often, but I do think that it's important to mention, just like both of these reporters have broken a number of stories about Kyrie and his trade demands, and seem to be very well sourced with his camp and his representation. And so I am not necessarily willing to go to the this is LeBron or this is anyone else other than Kyrie at this point, just because it came out so coordinated, so clearly about Kyrie and his no one else but Kyrie would know who Kyrie is texting, and trying to recruit to the Mavericks or anything like that. And so to me, this just seems like a number one to the Mavs of hey, you better make sure that you're, ready to pay up. I'm already trying to recruit guys here and do stuff, and I'm such a great Maverick. I'm trying to bring in all these other star free agents, and look, LeBron wants to play with me, so added bonus to give me the max. And then the other side of it is to the Lakers.
Kyrie also just seen at a Sparks game too, by the way. Also went to 2 playoff games for the Lakers. Yeah.
And I believe it was, obviously he's very close with Phil Handy. I think there was video of him just getting picked up at the airport by him the other day. They've obviously been close going back to their Cleveland days. I don't know if that's, to me, that's not even a posturing thing. They just seem to be legitimately close. But, there's a number of kind of threads to pull on here. And to me, what this screams is, you need to come and recruit me and come after me, because otherwise I'm going to be trying to get LeBron to come and play with me and trying to, cause problems for you that way. So wouldn't you rather have me on your team? And my answer would still be no. But, I can see why, Kyrie, given the way that Kyrie thinks about himself, would think that the answer to that is a pretty simple yes.
We haven't quite yet, and I obviously don't pay as much attention to Mavericks rumors, right? But I don't think we've gotten any reporting on what Kyrie's market appears to be.
A lot of the reporting coming out of the combine, when all of those agents and everyone is together, was just that, basically every other agent and team expects Kyrie to re-sign in Dallas on the max.
Yeah. Kyrie reminds me, in his situation with Dallas, reminds me it's a different version of the situation that you have between the Lakers and D'Angelo Russell,
Yeah.
where the Lakers
It's a higher
obviously,
stakes version of that.
yeah, and with a better player, which
Yeah.
is why
Well, yeah, that's part
they're
of the stakes. Yeah.
yeah, but like the Lakers, right, with D'Angelo would in no universe prefer to pay him upwards of 20 or more $1 million a year, right? After what we saw from him at the end of the season while they were pursuing a playoff spot, and then what he did in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, it would seem
And
to be unlikely that he's getting more than 20 million on the free market.
yeah, we've had multiple reports. Jake Fisher, right, came on here and said the same thing. So, but still, like the reason that he's even going to get 20 is because the Lakers need D'Angelo Russell as much as D'Angelo Russell needs the Lakers. And same here goes for Kyrie, where Dallas gave up a whole bunch to go out and get him. They cannot really replace him if he walks for nothing. They'd open there are, I guess, pathways for them to open up some cap space there after Kyrie leaves, but certainly not enough cap space to just replace Kyrie Irving.
No.
And so like they are kind of in the spot where they're probably going to have to overpay to keep Kyrie and pay him beyond what they're necessarily comfortable with. And one way to look at this is, yeah, the Lakers are involved because it's clearly LeBron and there are those relationships there. And again, we've seen him on 3 different occasions in basketball games in LA, right? Or at basketball games in LA. But even while most
Don't be a
people are
pawn,
just
Anthony. He just likes basketball, okay? It's just a coincidence that he's been to a lot of Lakers games. And he
Well, I
also,
just think
I
it's-
believe, went and saw them in the Bay against the Warriors.
Yeah. I just think it's a little weird that like whenever he goes to these Lakers games, he actually walks around like he buys the seat next to him to put a sign next to him with a big arrow. It's like Kyrie is right here for the cameras
Yeah.
to see. I think it's a little weird. Most people don't do that. By the way,
That's
I
just
did this.
typical twisting from you because you're such a puppeteer. It's
That's
just,
it's a good point. But
twisting his actions.
by the way, last night I went and saw the new Spider-Man, the Spider-Verse movie, right? And I went like 10 o'clock on a Sunday, which means nobody is there basically. And I do this now that we have 2 kids. It used to be me and Jen would go to all these movies, but this time I went. I've been going to like some of these Marvel movies, especially that you have to like avoid spoilers for. So I've been going to these movies by myself. Last night, Sunday night, 10 o'clock, I had an entire row to myself. And it's made me start to think if it's worth it to start buying the seat next to me just to have that experience whenever I go.
This is the most first world podcast suggestion you have ever made.
It was so nice. I'm not going to buy the whole row. Like, I don't need to go that far, but like, a bit of a barrier there. I have Jen. If she wants to buy the seat next to her, she can.
Successfully argue D'Lo into 20 million. I think like you should he should at least give you a nice Fandango gift card to let you do that. Or sorry,
anyway,
you can bleep that. A nice gift card to a movie service.
Yeah, movie service that
theoretically could be paying us.
And you're a germaphobe. Like you've never thought about doing that. Like you do well enough. You could do that if you went to a movie theater by yourself. You could buy seats on either side of you.
I'm also very cheap. So yeah. No, that's not something I anticipate doing. Plus, the drive-in's perfect for that. You just nobody.
We don't have drive-ins out here.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway, back to the Kyrie stuff, right? And I don't know. This feels to me just like one reading that I had earlier, right? Was that like the Lakers talked to? There's the rumor going around that the Lakers might use their 17th pick and keep that player, right? Cheapest option, by the way. But
was not expecting that.
but and like the potential response that we would get in the form of leaks from LeBron, I think it's altogether possible that talks between Kyrie and Dallas might not be landing quite yet at 4-year full max, and this is Kyrie with his first time agent, right? His agent, his representation is his like stepmom, right? And
I believe she was an agent for other people before him, or she had at least done. She has a legal background. I don't think that she's just someone. Yeah.
well, no, okay, but like, okay, her handling of Kyrie in the past indicates that like, it's a lot of kind of clunky behavior and clunky leaking to try and go out and get yourself. Remember the last year, was it last year or the year before, where Kyrie was going to go to the Lakers on a $5 million deal? Yeah. If you don't pay
Anthony,
up here,
he decided that he wanted to dare to be different and lead us into
Take the most
tomorrow
money.
by fulfilling his original 3-year commitment to the Brooklyn Nets and seeing us in the fall and reteaming with Kevin. Okay.
right, for like 6 months, and then
Well, hey, he worked really hard and showed up to work and didn't post any anti-Semitic movies for like 2 weeks. And then they had the audacity to not want to give him the max. What is he supposed to do? He had to opt out at that point and demand another trade.
yeah. And then when he showed up to Dallas, right, he was like, I really wanted it to work in Brooklyn, and I really did everything in my power to make it work in Brooklyn. So anyway, this is the guy that LeBron wants to team up with in LA, and and there's just like no way that backfires.
Yeah, I just almost choked. I apologize.
I just I don't know. Like I want to go back to the take that I had on Slack.
Oh no.
If this is in any way LeBron utilizing leverage to try to get Kyrie to LA and to team up with him, and that is his preferred route here, and the preferred route in a way that like he will not be happy unless this is how this plays out, and he is playing next year with Kyrie Irving in LA. Is it wrong of me to start thinking of the post LeBron era already? Like, I don't want anything to do with like LeBron, AD, and Kyrie and a whole bunch of minimums after what we just saw.
Cap, theoretically.
Yeah, and a hard cap, which some in the Lakers organization might not be that upset about, but like,
yeah, probably not. But
like, if
some of us watching the Lakers organization and hoping they do well may be upset about,
Yeah, right. But like, I don't know if LeBron basically like we've already seen him do this before. They won a championship with LeBron, AD, bunch of really good role players, and then we started to see those role players go, right? And here in this case, if if it's LeBron, AD, and role players, and they get you to the precipice of a of a finals appearance, and now you go through that experience, and your takeaway is, okay, yeah, that was fun. Let's go get Kyrie now. I don't know if I want in on the LeBron James business much further. Like I think I'm arriving at a point where I think we're good here. So if this is in any way him, and we're not saying that this definitely is, but if this is him like test ballooning a potential trade request to Dallas or whatever, if they don't go,
a potential buyout request was one of the scenarios discussed in the article.
Like whatever it would, like if that's what it would kind of take, if that's the other outcome, if there's only two outcomes, one being go out and move heaven and earth to bring in Kyrie Irving, and the other is, just trade me to Dallas for, whatever, or wherever, to be honest. I don't know, man. I think I'm reaching a point now where I'm like, yeah, let's go see what Path B brings. Let's this guy hasn't been able to stay healthy for multiple years now. He clearly looked diminished in the playoffs. Like, why is this something that, like, this isn't prime LeBron anymore? This isn't, you do everything in your power to appease LeBron anymore.
So I don't think that you're insane to think about the future past LeBron, right? Like just taking that part of it on its face, whether LeBron is with the Lakers next year or not, like the Lakers have to start thinking about at least a little bit about that. And, I would argue that last year they almost leaned too far in that direction. And I think you would argue the same way.
I would
of
do.
Like, we are
I
not
would
giving
do.
up these 2027 and 2029 picks. We would rather be embarrassing with LeBron and like pick 10th, in 2027 or whatever it may be. Like it's just, I think they overvalued that vision of the future last year. I think that you still have to think about it to a degree. I think that if, you're having to, like, let's just say that the hypothetical that you're proposing is true, where the only way that LeBron sort of comes back, is locked in, is, really sort of as engaged as he's going to be during the regular season, and then matches it up during the playoffs, and, is sort of happy to be there and is playing relatively hard, and, he'll take his defensive possessions off, but then you get to the playoffs and you get this version of LeBron that the Lakers got this year, or something approximating it at, 39 instead of 38. And so if the price for that, to get that, is that you have to give up, a future first, hard cap yourself to bring in, because likely, if the Lakers were signing and trading for Kyrie in these scenarios, like, we'll talk about how sad the Mavs roster is and how sad a trade for LeBron for them would look like. But if it's the Lakers trading for Kyrie, you're sort of assuming that a pick is probably involved there, right? Because the Mavs, why would they help him, if they aren't getting something real back from the Lakers? As much as we're going to joke about the Mavs roster, the Mavs are not just signing and trading Kyrie for D'Lo or something like that. Like, we have to acknowledge that.
Already been, like, explicitly leaked. They are not doing that, by the way.
Like 2 months ahead of free agency. Like, it's just not happening. There's no incentive for them to leak that we would sign and trade for D'Lo this far out, but there's definitely not an incentive for them to leak we would not that far out, unless they just are absolutely positive that is not happening and that's not something they're interested in. And, look, D'Lo's not a Nike guy anymore, so I get it from the Mavs perspective. Like, and so, the Lakers should be thinking about their future after LeBron and sort of that level of it. And so, again, like, if the price for an engaged, locked-in LeBron is you're giving up a first, you're hard capping yourself to sign and trade for Kyrie, like, I don't think that you're insane to wonder if that's worth it. I still think that in the short term, it probably is if you're the Lakers, just because the alternative of potentially just having him retire and leaving you nothing on the books, again, I'm not going to sit here and advocate for trading for Kyrie Irving and hard capping yourself. I still think it is more appealing than either LeBron, like, walking away, or you buying him out, or you trading him, or any of these things, because I don't, again, especially if you're trading him to the Mavs, who do not have an appealing package to offer for LeBron. I still think that bad scenario compared to the possibility of, like, running it back, having another training camp together, having contract flexibility to make moves at the deadline, all of that stuff. I think that is the better option, but I would still, even as someone who does not want Kyrie, argue for that over, like, just letting LeBron go and trading him. If that sort of, I guess, answers your question of, are you crazy?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a much larger question.
Yeah, you're right. That's a larger, are you crazy for thinking about that thing specifically?
But yeah, I don't know. I saw that there was a tweet going around, one of those, like, quote, tweet this with take X, right? And it was like, what's the hard pill reality that you have to, that, like, your fan base has to realize, right? And, I saw various iterations of it that made some sense, and some
and it's
that less.
Re-signing D'Lo makes the most sense this summer. I think for me, that's it. It's
yeah. But, like, for me, I didn't give a response, but, like, for me, my response, I think the more that I kind of think about it is, the NBA is actually pretty simple, and
it's about a bucket, which is why they need Kyrie.
The teams that have a chance at winning a championship year in, year out typically have a max player who is playing at max level or exceeding that value in terms of just basketball, right? And that the Lakers, we could talk about the Russell Westbrook trade, and we could talk about, Darvin Ham being a rookie head coach and Frank Vogel's issues there, other roster issues that we've seen over the last couple of years, and we can utilize that as context that explain this reality. But the reality is, in terms of just raw basketball value, LeBron James and Anthony Davis haven't been max players for the last couple of years. They haven't. And that's why, like, that's the foundational issue.
I disagree with that for this season. I don't
Oh,
think
no.
that's true.
The last, that's why I say, like, the last, this year, like, that helps make my point further, right? This run, especially in the playoffs, where those guys started playing up to that level, that's why we started to see the Lakers take off the way they did, right? But so long as LeBron and AD weren't playing at that level for, you know, the last 2.5 years, not counting post deadline this season, yeah, like that. And by the way, like when we saw them stumble against Denver, they were outplayed by Jokic, another max player, right? And so, like, the reason I bring all that up is, if I was to ask you your confidence level, 1 to 10, 10 being most confident, that the Lakers are going to continue to get max value or more than max value from LeBron and AD, let alone Kyrie, who would be on a max contract as well, like, where would you sit there? It can't be very high, and I don't know.
You
like,
mean
I
for
just
this year specifically.
this upcoming year for the entirety of the time that they would be playing together. So I would imagine it would be like Kyrie would be signing a 4-year max, right? So, yeah, so right. That's what I'm saying is, like, that's why, like, this is all the math that I'm doing in my head when I say, like, I don't know that I'm.
How many
I
years
think I would,
before that's the worst contract in the NBA?
15 minutes. You know, like one too many YouTube searches. Like
Yeah, you know, I guess it does depend on. We would need to see if the Lakers have any contacts at YouTube. Maybe they can update the algorithm, you know, and just see if they can.
Well, I know like the Arizona Cardinals had like a clause in Kyler Murray's contract last year. It was like he had to do X number of studying hours per week in order to maintain eligibility with his contract or something like that, or get like some kind of bonus, I believe. Maybe the Lakers can be like, Kyrie is limited to children's YouTube, and that's it.
Yeah, like, you know, like he can use streaming services, but like no YouTube, you know?
Yeah, right. But yeah, that's
well, although
like,
actually an Amazon streaming service is where he got in trouble, so maybe not. Maybe
Quibi?
They set a screen time limit, you know?
Yeah.
Screen time limits per day, okay?
Or like somebody sits in the room with him while he goes on these YouTube searches and Instagram searches.
Or, you know, if you're a Laker fan and you work at YouTube, can you alter the algorithm so that every single next recommendation is like, it's like how-to videos on how to get better at defense? It's like, this is weird. I just keep getting recommendations for best lateral movement speed drills.
Yeah. It's like lethal shooter, but like lethal slider, right?
Yeah,
like,
lethal defender.
But yeah, I don't know. But like my question is basically though, like, is that a trio that you're comfortable, especially that trio and just minimum contract guys? Basically, I think they'd be able to keep Reeves.
No, I think they could keep Reeves. There's certain gymnastics where they could make that work. They could keep Reeves.
So it'd be those 4 guys, and like with those 4 guys, and essentially just minimum guys outside of that. Because again, like as Jake reported on the show last week or whatever, there are, as he's been communicated, marching orders to stay below the second apron, which again, they'd be hard capped anyway, so it wouldn't, different conversation. Yeah. But like
their marching orders would be the NBA CBA not allowing them to go higher.
Yeah, just like the Mavericks had marching orders to not trade for LeBron James last year. Yeah. but like I just land on I don't know. It's not like one of those, it's not, you know, something I'm all that comfortable saying. The note, like, trade LeBron James is not something I like coming out of my mouth. But if the alternative, and we're not saying this is definitively the alternative, but if the alternative is essentially the only way he's going to be bought in, and the only way we don't keep getting more of these nonsensical, you know, trade rumors and this linkage between him and Kyrie is to just move heaven and earth and bring Kyrie in, I don't know, man. I think I'd rather I think I'd rather just say, you know what? You got your one championship. We had this really fun playoff run, a couple weeks ago. We're good here. We're good. Best of luck in Dallas. Best of luck with Kyrie and with one season of Luka and all the best.
Yes, you still are, and I'm gonna go into I'm gonna go into why. Okay, so this is insane on so many levels. As to like, I cannot believe that we've podcasted for almost an hour on this topic and given it that level of legitimate consideration and thought.
Fair.
And I know we've
That's a failure on my part.
Whatever. Yeah, this is just, it's not happening. Okay, it's just not happening. First of all, the article that Haynes wrote has been updated to say that the Mavericks were preparing to make an offer for James last season when the Lakers were spiraling. Sources say, despite James being ineligible for trade last season due to the date of his extension. So that is on the record that they were thinking about making a trade and did not know the rules. They thought that they could trade. Like, that's what that is saying to me. That they literally they thought that they could trade for a guy that was not eligible to be traded. And so yeah, that's what that new phrasing says.
Hold on. What?
Yeah. There's been an update.
So he essentially, it was reported to him. He didn't push back, seems like. And then the internet pushed back and said that he couldn't be traded for it last year. And he wanted to keep his reporting there? What?
Well, apparently, no. I mean, to me, this is more newsworthy. This just means that the Mavs did not know that was a rule, and Anyway, this is not happening. Like LeBron. Yeah. So there were a couple scenarios that were proposed. Number one being like, hey, like he's recruiting him. Like, would he demand a trade? Could they trade him? Could the Mavericks? There's basically two avenues for LeBron to get there. It's trade and it's buyout. I'm just going to go ahead and say
I'm going to make
a bold prediction that the Lakers are not going to buy out the $46 million, that are on LeBron's, or no, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong.
It's like 47, almost 48.
Yeah, it's like 48 million, and it's over 2 years, right?
Yeah.
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 So
it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah. So
he got the over 36 rule where he could own. It was the biggest contract he could sign because he was over 36.
It was like 2 years, $96 million, right? It was something like that. Mm-hmm. The Lakers are not buying out a 2-year, $96 million extension that they signed last summer that has not kicked in yet. It's just not happening. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because he has a player option. So it's a 1-1. So he can, if they bought him out, they would have to include, they would have to do something about that, or he would have to forego all of that money, which I don't think he's going to do either.
I don't think that you can preemptively just like opt out of a player option like that or anything and like offset the buyout amount. I'm pretty sure they would be cap-wise on the hook for that both years. Unless, unless I could be mistaken, obviously there's a new CBA, so maybe there's rules we aren't aware of, or maybe I'm just misunderstanding. But my understanding is that if you just buy out a contract, that's like the same as waiving a player. So you're automatically opting in to all the years on that contract if you're waiving someone, because it's like, or if it's team option, I guess you're opting
how did it go down with Detroit and Blake Griffin? Because I think he had 2 years on his deal.
Well, he probably just gave them back the money, all the money except for, he probably gave them some savings on that off of whatever he was. This is normally how it works. LeBron is not going to, LeBron would have to just say, like, I am taking, you're to buy me out of this contract, you are going to pay me $1. He can afford it. He's richer than Lakers ownership. So like maybe he could, give them that savings, but they would still be on the hook for that cap wise, is my understanding. That's just not happening. You're not going to build a functional team with, LeBron dead cap. Maybe I'm wrong. So I apologize for this rant if so, but either way, even if the Lakers could get off of all that money, they're not buying out LeBron James. That's not something that this franchise does. Like, they're not going to, have his ending be like, hey, we're buying you out to go pursue, a ring with your friend Kyrie and the Mavs. It's just not going to happen. And they're not going to trade him to the Mavs because the Mavs contracts outside of Luka, which this is clearly not LeBron and or Kyrie and LeBron are going to team up in Dallas without Luka. Then then I'm more willing to consider it. I guess is my answer. I'm more willing to consider the possibility that the Lakers trade LeBron James, and that's a good move moving forward.
I'll tell you what, if it came down to, and if somehow,
I'd throw
and I
in
don't
29.
think.
Honestly, if the
Yeah.
Lakers could, if Luka was on the table.
If I could swap out LeBron for Luka, I would 29. I would trade
Would
Christie.
you
I
throw in
would
Max
trade.
Christie? Are you willing to put him in that deal?
I would throw in Max Christie, the eventual draft rights to Bronny, everything. Like whatever it takes to get to swap out Luka for LeBron. Or LeBron
Yeah, I
for
don't know.
Luka.
I'm still trying to keep Austin in that scenario. You know, it's just like you got to set a line somewhere.
A lot of people in Texas be really excited about the Mavericks trading for Austin.
Yeah. And so if you look at the Mavericks list of contracts, it is outside of Luka incredibly depressing. Just like going
Yes.
down their roster of how much like they have Davis. Is it Davis? Davis? How do you
I think
pronounce
it's
his name?
Davis Bertans.
Yeah, Davis Bertans, who is making $17 million a year over the next 2 years, to basically be like, I guess, Matt Ryan with better marketing. I don't know, and so like he's probably salary filler in this, or they have, hey, if you're just like, hey, I don't want Bertans, like that's a bad contract. I don't want that. Don't worry, they have other salary filler in Tim Hardaway Jr., who is making $17.8 million a year for the next 2 years. And so I was able to construct a really just not at all horrifying or abominable trade. Oh, wait, actually, it's not going to let me share my screen. But of Davis Bertans, Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Green, and then, just to sweeten the pot for the Lakers, I threw in 2023 round 1, 2027 round 1, and 2025 round 1.
I think you'd also have to
looking for LeBron.
You'd also have to ask for Jaden Hardy. So it'd be Hardy, Green, whatever, every pick that Dallas can possibly move. Because the other thing too is that like these aren't expirings.
Fanspo was usually it's pretty good about not letting you put in picks that are illegal, but it was accidentally letting me trade 2 first-round picks in a row, so I'm not sure what was going on there. But yeah, they have some picks to trade, but I believe some of them are encumbered, and I wasn't able to fully figure that out.
Yeah. So, but like Hardaway, $17.8 million 2 years from now, right? Like these are contracts that like aren't expiring. So like if you enjoy the whole
contracts, you're trading LeBron for bad contracts and like possibly mediocre to bad picks. I don't know.
Like it'd be
maybe
one
they'll
thing.
end up being good picks if this just convinces Luka to leave eventually. But
well, this was I think the hottest take that I had, right, was like, hey, those picks could actually be kind of valuable, right? Luka leaves.
No, if they're far out picks, they could be good because I'm not sure Luka's staying.
Yeah,
not because of LeBron, just because I'm not sure that this like ends super well, and it just seems like guys don't stay with franchises.
Luka already like
anymore.
Depending on who you pay attention to or who you talk to or whatever, Luka. I'm not going to go so far as to say that he has like a foot out the door or anything like that.
So maybe he's in the deal. He's in the deal for LeBron. This actually makes a whole lot more sense now.
There's actual reported frustration on the part of Luka directed towards the Mavs. For good reason. They've been a disaster since they drafted him.
LeBron is the only star player who doesn't like it when teams prioritize draft picks over their chances to compete. So I'm sure Luka was just fine missing the play-in last year.
Yeah. So he's anyway, the scenario that I had kind of playing out in my mind, if this was like LeBron again trying to leverage all of this other nonsense to try and go out and get Kyrie, but if Luka leaves, the value of those picks skyrockets. LeBron, if this was the healthiest that we've seen or that we'll see LeBron for the rest of his career, it wouldn't exactly shock me. Kyrie, whether it's YouTube suspension or injury, he has real trouble like staying on a basketball court. Like those picks aren't going to be worthless, I don't think, and could be hugely valuable. Like, again, just kind of throwing it out there for those who were kind of frustrated with all of this stuff going on. But again, like I do want to be clear. LeBron can't control whether or not Kyrie's camp leaks that he and Kyrie spoke about this. And we don't know the extent of that conversation.
We also don't even know that they spoke. We just know that Kyrie texted him to ask about it.
Right. So like we don't there's, a lot of this is beyond LeBron's control, as I say, 53 minutes into this pot. But like, it is, worth noting that like LeBron looks at all of this, and I don't know. I know that LeBron sees Kyrie as like a, almost like a little brother, or like a younger friend who's really trying to look out for and stuff. But you also have to be real about like the 2 years that Kyrie has had over the last couple seasons, and how like mess just seems to follow him. And I would imagine, if not LeBron himself, somebody in LeBron's camp is like, hey man, there have to be other ball handlers who can like shoot.
So you would think that, but he's argued pretty hard for him twice. So I don't think that, I don't know necessarily that message is going through.
Not so hard. I guess that the difference to me here would be like leaving LA to go play with Kyrie.
Oh, yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Like that's where somebody within his camp, and if not LeBron himself, would be like, you weren't signing up to play with Giannis. Like
I guess it's like, if you're making plans and it's like someone that you're like not the closest with, but they're like, I'm going to be in the area. Like, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll get dinner with you. But like, I'm not driving, 2 hours to do it. Right.
By the way, I'm going to be in the area in September. So,
well, how close to the area?
We'll figure that out later.
If you're going to be in LA, then yeah, I'll meet up. But if it's OC, I don't know that I'm driving down.
See, but then why would I want to be in LA? That just...
LeBron? No. Did you just join the Zoom call?
But yeah, I don't know. I just find... I find all of this obviously ridiculous. And the last thing that I kind of want to talk about before we get out of here is, like...
It really cannot be stated enough that this is one of the most ridiculous hypotheticals that we've gotten during an offseason ever.
Would it also shock you if this got more ridiculous?
No, if this is the starting point.
But like this is the... I mean, we saw it last year where there was a whole like Kyrie taking $5 million
in this saga. What are we?
That's the game I wanted to play. I wanted to say like, all right, what is next in this ridiculous saga? I'll start with Kyrie really likes Austin Reeves' game.
Loves his footwork. Really wants to play with him. Sees him as a guy that would really complement Kyrie's skills well. Which like that's true, honestly, in a vacuum. Like Austin and Kyrie would like basketball wise fit. I think they'd fit pretty well together.
Offensively, for sure. Defensively,
defensively, I guess you're leaving a little bit to be desired there. But offensively, they fit really well together. But also, it's funny from the perspective of like Kyrie's like, the Lakers are going to be building around me, like, and I like Austin. No, I think like the Lakers already have an assistant coach that is like really close to Kyrie, so they can't like do like we're gonna hire like someone like the Jalen Brunson thing, or like I believe Philly hired like Dame's trainer at one point. Like sometimes these like teams, they hire someone that's really close to them that is like actually no okay, I figured it out.
Okay,
the Mavs are overhauling their coaching staff. They've made a Godfather offer to Phil Handy.
Look, this one I could see.
Yeah,
like
I'm not. This one's a little too realistic.
Like this one, Phil Handy. I was surprised that he stayed on the staff after he was not hired to be the head coach after Frank Vogel. I was surprised he stuck around. Does seem to really like it. Obviously, really likes working with LeBron. But he on the record has said he wants to be a head coach in this league, and he's not going to be like Darvin isn't going anywhere. And my guess is like he wants to be seen as like the lead assistant who would be the heir apparent if things didn't go very well. And if Dallas made that offer to him, like I thought Phoenix might do it. But if
so
if we aren't going to see it here with Phoenix, I could totally see it with Dallas. And in which case, do you think it would be like a package deal, Phil Handy and LeBron for Hardaway, Bertans, Kleber, and Bullock.
You can't. I shouldn't even dignify this, but you can't attach coaches in a
I know.
trade.
Can we get Dudley back? Like,
assistant coach for assistant coach trade. Do we get at any point, I guess even taking this outside of the Lakers bubble, like, actually, maybe we're not expanding our minds on this enough. Is this
it's usually the case with Kyrie.
We're talking about? Like,
yeah,
we have to go
yeah.
full galaxy brain. Is this Kyrie trying to make Kevin Durant jealous that he's texting LeBron instead and get the Suns to trade for Kyrie and start to become a serious suitor for him to open up like another suitor in extension talks?
Yeah, it would be fun. Like, I wouldn't hate getting regular updates on the players that Kyrie is texting to go to Dallas, even though he's not. Yeah. I don't think he's going to be in Dallas. Like, it was funny how many Dallas people were like,
he's going to be. I think he's going to be next year. I think all of this is all for nothing. Like, I think he's going to be back there at the max.
I can't fathom a team saying, I want 4 years max Kyrie Irving.
I don't think the Mavs are all that smart.
I guess that's true. They did trade for Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, so. I mean, like,
man, I would be happy for like a reporting series. Like, you know how at Silver Screen, right? You can link stories and like how you could link them all together. I wouldn't hate like a series of reports, like a Chris Haynes or a Shams Karania thread of Kyrie Irving just texted so-and-so and just see where this thing goes. Just specific about basketball. I don't need his other text. That is...
Yeah, I'm good.
His non-basketball subject matter is not something I'm all that interested in. All right. Let's get everybody out of here. Do you have a misfortune of the 2 weeks? Do you have anything like that?
I do, actually. I have a misfortune. My wife today, I was, as some of you know, she, occasionally does social videos for this podcast and, allows me to promote my appearance and, these conversations that I enjoy having with Anthony every other week. And I was getting set to record this podcast and I was like, hey, are you going to have time to make a clip today? And she said, well, if the podcast is good. And I was like, aren't they all? And she's like, no. So there you go. Sorry, everyone, if you made it this far.
iTunes reviews. Not all winners.
Yeah, hey, I said, hey, don't leave it on iTunes then. It's fine. If you don't like it,
just say it and don't tweet it. Just say it out loud, and then Harrison can repeat it on the show.
Yeah, just hurt my feelings, right before I'm getting set to try and focus and record and make an entertaining show. Just tell me that I'm not entertaining,
Yeah.
It's
the
person I love most, It's just...
So, man, like, your day-to-day, you have Mia taking shots at you like that and Sasha planning out your murder. Like,
can you text her a picture of her and I and be like, this is who you're making, this is whose feelings you're hurting, by the way?
Yes. Yeah. Done. I'll tweet it at her. Just out of context before the show goes up. See how everybody reacts.
Just find a wholesome wedding photo of us and just be like, this is who you're attacking, by the way.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is going to do it here for this episode of the Lakers Lounge. Thank you very much, Harrison, for hopping on here. Thank you very much, Kyrie and Shams and Chris Haynes for giving us something ridiculous to talk about as we are at this point in the off season where we are just waiting for Denver and Miami to wrap things up so we can get to, next season stuff. And yeah, thank you to the unnamed guest who, again, shall remain nameless. We are not going to mention the fact that she covered various teams for SB Nation while she was there.
Why are you thanking this person this often on my show? Just thank her tomorrow.
I like her more than you. Like,
fair enough. So does my wife, apparently.
We'll talk to you guys next week. Hold on, I just had the great start. All right, now
Hey, look, you're the professional podcaster, not me.
I'm the father of 2 children. Avery has started doing this thing where
Is that what you do anytime somebody critiques you? You're like I'm a father of 2? You do not get to disrespect me like that.
yeah, no, especially every time somebody tries to cancel me, I'm the father of a daughter.
Yeah, like this is who you're criticizing, by the way, and it's just a picture of you and your family. You do like the NBA.
I've been waiting
meme.
for somebody to like say something ridiculous back at me. So
No,
I do
actually,
want
that's a good idea. I'm gonna do that the next time I see somebody come after you on Twitter. I'm gonna take a family photo from your Facebook and be like, "This is who you're all criticizing, by the way."
No, I'm like I think that's gonna be my response from now on.
Yeah.
It's just like putting pictures of me and my happy family.
Just
It's like
increasingly
this.
wholesome pictures of your family, like we do one in all the little Christmas outfits for a
It's
Christmas
like I
card
pissed
photo.
off.
Like,
I pissed off Orlando Magic Twitter, I guess, because I said that Kobe guy. Like I can't wait till Kobe is covering Paolo on the Lakers. Paolo Banchero on the.
see that's next level thinking by the OC Register. They're just they're getting prepared for the future Magic star to Lakers star pipeline.
So, so what I should have done is just like started quote tweeting people with like this who y'all make fun of. This who
I'm gonna
y'all
do that.
are
I'm
going
gonna take up arms in your defense. I'm gonna be the #1 Anthony Irwin stan on Twitter. Be like, when you all make fun of Anthony Irving, this is who you're criticizing, by the way.
Yeah.
Family man.
No, what we should do is every time Avery is crying, I'm gonna take a picture of Avery, and it'll be me. Like people are just gonna keep thinking I'm making Avery cry. And it's like this who y'all are making fun of.
Yeah,
this man
I
who's
showed my daughter
obviously
your
a
tweet,
really
and
good.
this was her response. I said, "This is what they're saying about Daddy online."
Look at this person wants your daddy to die.
Well, I mean, maybe it'll lead to enough growth for the podcast that you can afford her future therapy from being subjected to that at like 3.
Yeah, right. Jen freaked me out the other day. She's like, "Oh yeah, Avery's gonna remember. Like she's gonna start remembering stuff like now."
Yeah, and you have no idea what it's going to be, too.
Yeah.
It's going to be like, it's going to be the most random stuff.
It's
yeah.
terrifying. Like for
Interaction
a
that you
while
have
there,
with
I was
her
like,
could be a future trauma,
from like 0 to 2, I was like, all right, we're good. We're set here. 2.5, all right. But now Jen's like, yeah, at 3, they start really remembering things like from your first memories tend to be right around when you're like 3 years old. And I'm like, what?
Yeah,
like, I used to think of it like an Etch-a-Sketch. Like you screw up and then you don't shake her, obviously, but like it would just.
Yeah, well, I mean, maybe she won't remember that, or maybe she will. I don't know. Yeah, if you've been shaking her to make
that
her
was the
forget,
worst example I could have used.
You use the F word and you just shake your baby just to